I love these styles of cameras. So when the lens can slide back and forth, or the lens cover, I mean, it is super, super satisfying, and it leads to the camera looking super cool whenever it's closed. But the problem, and I've noticed this is why I'm bringing it up, I don't recommend people to actually buy lens cover cameras. They're super fun, and when they work, they're so fun. But like this camera I bought doesn't work. You can kind of see the lens kind of moves around. It doesn't turn on. This also goes into another problem I'll kind of give, but overall, I don't recommend people buying these lens cover cameras. Again, very fun, but I just stay away from them, especially if it's your first camera. If you're getting into like collecting them, yeah, of course I would get these. But if you're looking for just a one buy and the camera works, I would not recommend these. Another camera that I would not recommend actually are these little tiny, like thin cameras. There's a lot of different types of these types of cameras. This is just one that I had on hand. The reason is because these batteries, oh my gosh, are they the most annoying things in the world. This one doesn't even clip in anymore, but I got lucky with this. Most cameras that you buy are not going to come with the battery, just a warning. This camera, especially, I mean, some of them will, but you just have to imagine used, they will not. This camera, specifically, I mean, you can look at the battery, it's tiny. You're not going to be able to make this battery. You can't buy this at like Walgreens, you know what I mean? Like this is a very specific battery, and typically with these small cameras, I've noticed, they work with like the most obscure batteries you've ever seen. Avoid these like the plague, especially if you're buying a used digicam. I just don't think it's really worth it. Another camera I don't recommend buying, even though it is so fun, I love these cameras, are the the Sony Mavicas. These cameras are so cool. But again, some cameras, and there's a couple cameras back here that do the same thing, but some cameras I just wouldn't recommend because they have such unique storage options. This one uses floppy disks. I don't think you want to buy like a new camera that uses a floppy disk. They're super fun to use, but unless you're willing to find a way to get the photos off of the floppy disk, you're going to be in just a lot of annoying trouble. Everything else about this camera otherwise is so fun, and I love them, and the batteries are cheap and they're easy to find. Honestly, even floppy disks are easy to find on eBay, but the problem is getting the photos off the floppy disk. I got lucky. I actually have a USB to floppy disk converter, which makes it super easy. But again, I just wouldn't recommend it. Sony in general tends to have this problem. Most Sony cameras that are of this era have a memory stick and not an SD card, even though this looks like it would be an SD card slot. Here, I'll even, give me a moment. So here's the difference between the two. You can see this is the memory stick, and then this is the SD card. Memory sticks are fine, but they're just annoying, and like you have to have more adapters, and like if you, let's say you just have a MacBook, you're going to want a camera that uses a SD card because you don't have to think about it. The memory sticks, just, you know, not super worth it. But otherwise, again, if you're willing to go into a Sony camera and find like all the adapters you need, buy a memory stick, these things work just the exact same as SD cards. They're just, you know, a little different. Otherwise, these cameras are super cool. They have very, very nice, everything about these cameras is nice. I really can't say anything bad about them. They're built really well too. They're like a tank. They're actually made of metal. There's a lot of older digicams that are made of plastic. So that's something that I would totally recommend. But again, if you're not willing to deal with this, don't get it. I'll actually leave this out just in case. But a camera that I would actually recommend, if you can get your hands on one of these, the Canon PowerShot A530. This bad boy basically takes all of the stuff that you would want to make it easy and throws it in one camera. So this camera uses AA batteries. The reason you want a camera with AA batteries is because you can just find AA batteries at like your local Walgreens or whatever, turn it on, and it just works. I mean, that's just so handy. It's hard to explain when you have a camera that has like just the most obscure batteries you've ever seen, and then you have this camera next to it, and it's just like every time I'm going to reach for this one. It's just so much easier. Same with the SD card. I can just throw this. There's so many like USB-C hubs that just have an SD card adapter. It's just easier, you know? So this camera, 100%, I recommend it. If you can find one of these, super handy. I'm going to say the same thing for this Fujifilm. I don't think many people know about this Fujifilm because, sorry, I'm dropping these batteries over here, but this Fujifilm is so nice. The Fujifilm FinePix 2300. It looks super iconic. I love the look. It feels pretty decent in the hand. It's pretty chunky, which is fun. But look at this. You open it up. It's got 4 AA battery spots, which I'm not putting that in right, but just super, super handy. The only negative Now, I almost forgot when I was saying this. Only negative is that this thing uses, again, a proprietary storage. If you have to go out and find a smart media, which is what this is, it's a smart media card. If you have to go out and find a smart media adapter and you're willing to deal with that, again, this camera is super fun, but I would not get it if you're a first-time digicam buyer just because of this. I mean, how many of y'all even know what this is? I'm assuming most of y'all aren't going to know, but otherwise, super fun camera. I love how simple it is. It just takes absolutely no thought to use. I love the little viewfinder. It's even got flash and everything. Super fun camera. Just the smart media is kind of something that I would avoid. This camera is super, super interesting. Now, I personally wouldn't recommend it because I think it also uses smart media. You can see it right here. If I pull out actually the smart media from this camera, I'll show you what it looks like. But you throw that in like that. Look at that. Super fun camera, but I wouldn't recommend it just because of the smart media. But I just wanted to give it kind of an honorable mention because it is just such a unique camera. If you look at it right here, it's actually got this flip-up screen, which is super, super cool. I actually was able to score this camera at a pretty good deal on eBay. I really like this camera. I love that it uses normal AA batteries. The only negative is the smart media. But again, if you're willing to put up with it, this camera is so fun and unique and is a conversation starter and just feels kind of like a DS. It's even got the little like screen brightness knob at the bottom. I love it. Super, super cool. Kind of at the same era as this camera, this Nikon Coolpix 4800 is very, very similar. So as you can see here, it's actually, oh, it doesn't. What in the world? Okay, so this is another thing you got to look out for. You can see the difference in these two cameras. This uses a proprietary battery. This uses AA batteries. These look like it would use AA batteries. It looks like you could just slide them in, but like it's just not how it works. This uses a very special 2CR5 battery, as you can see right in there, that actually connects to the side of the thing instead of like front to back like the AA's on this one. The reason I don't recommend this camera is for that reason right there. Those batteries are actually pretty easy to get online. They're not too annoying to buy, but again, it's just another thing you have to think about. It's a fun camera, but you don't have to think about that every time you buy a camera. It uses, luckily, an SD slot, so you can just throw that in and it works. But and it's a fun camera to use, by the way. It's really, really simple again. Not as simple as the Fujifilm over here, but still very, very simple camera. I can't recommend it because of the battery. Let me get some more cameras. This camera has everything that you would want in a camera, or at least what I would recommend in a camera. So if you open up the bottom here, you're going to see it actually uses two AAA batteries, which is super nice, and it uses a micro SD card slot, which is super cool. And I presume you are actually able to pull off the pictures using this micro USB port right here. So you could just have the SD card plugged in and then plug it into your computer. Super, super handy. The reason I don't recommend this camera is because it's so poorly built. It is just such a crappy camera to feel and hold and use. It's just not my favorite. The color is really, really fun. It's got all the stuff that you would want. I actually really do like that it uses the AAA batteries too. It's just like they're tiny and it's fun. It's a fun looking camera, but the UI is annoying. Everything just feels really crappy. It feels like if you were to just throw this, it would explode. I don't recommend it for that reason. But again, if you buy it, you're not going to be awfully sad. You'll just be kind of annoyed. This Minolta Dimage S404, super fun camera. I love this camera. Most Minolta cameras that I get, I really, really like. But this one runs into that same problem as most of these other cameras. It actually uses a CF card right here, as you can see. It's really, really big. But it's, again, a thing you're going to have to find an adapter for. So if you're not willing to put up with that, it's not really worth it. Luckily, it actually uses AA batteries, so you don't necessarily have to go through all the trouble of finding like a proprietary battery or anything. But other than that, this camera is so cool. I wish that it had just a normal SD card adapter on it. Instead, it doesn't. It's fully made of metal, feels super chunky. It's got some of the most iconic sounds that I've ever heard come out of a camera. This is like, if this had the SD card, this would be my #1 recommendation. It's just such a fun camera. I love the way it looks. It's just hard for me to recommend for people, especially if you've never actually used a digicam before. I just can't. This Fujifilm is a hit or miss. Sometimes they make really cool cameras, sometimes they don't. Again, with this one, I almost can recommend it. I can't. This one's kind of in that same category. As you can see, it uses the smart media card, which is, again, this bad boy right here. So I tend to stay, like, when you're looking at a listing, look to see what type of storage it uses and look to see what type of batteries it needs. And, you know, obviously make sure that it works or that it has some sort of return policy to make sure you're able to actually return it if it doesn't work. Also, word of warning, a lot of cameras that you buy, the flash is not going to work. So keep that in mind. Make sure you test that before you are completely good with that. And ask the seller, you know, if they can actually provide like some sort of evidence that the flash does work, because I know some of y'all are looking for that flash. This Fujifilm is super fun to use. It's a really chunky camera, but I just don't really, it's hard to say why. I just don't fully recommend it. I prefer stuff like this, or even this next camera that we're going to come up on. I actually made a really long video about this camera a couple months ago. I really like the Canon G10. It has all the stuff you're going to want. Only negative is the proprietary battery, but luckily since this is a newer camera and it's a little bit more expensive, those batteries are not awful to come by, and these batteries last such a long time. So that's one of the upsides to like some of the proprietary batteries, is they're going to last a little bit longer than like the AA's or the AAA's. But luckily this one actually does come with an SD card. Normally when you buy one of these cameras, it's going to come with all the stuff that you need to actually charge the battery. It'll come with like an extra battery, but if you're buying it used, you're going to want to make sure. Other than that, it is a super fun camera to use, and I really recommend it just for that. But past that, if you're looking for your first camera, honestly, again, a couple things I would look for. Make sure it uses a normal SD card, or maybe a micro SD card, or just something that you're willing to work with. And make sure that it uses some normal batteries. You don't want to deal with a camera, you can see them all over here. You don't want to deal with a camera that doesn't have, you know, just the most random thing. You don't want to have to deal with it, especially if you're getting your first camera.